Welcome to episode 76, Privacy Controls Interplay at R2, where we explore how privacy and security work together within the R2 framework to create trust, compliance, and responsible stewardship of data. Privacy is not just about legal fine print or user consent. It is about assurance, the proof that an organization handles personal information in a way that meets its stated commitments. At R2, privacy is woven through the control environment so that protecting individual rights becomes a natural byproduct of strong information governance. The closer these disciplines align, the easier it becomes to demonstrate accountability during assessments and to sustain confidence from both regulators and customers. Privacy, in this sense, strengthens assurance, and assurance, in turn, validates privacy. At the core of modern privacy frameworks lie two principles: lawful basis and purpose limitation. Lawful basis means having a legitimate reason, recognized by regulation, to collect and use personal data. Purpose limitation requires that this data be used only for that stated reason and not repurposed without additional justification. Together, they ensure that processing remains predictable and fair. For instance, gathering contact information for appointment reminders does not automatically permit marketing use. Organizations that codify lawful basis in their records of processing show deliberate compliance rather than accidental adherence. These principles protect both the organization and the individual by creating a chain of accountability around why data exists at all. Data minimization and privacy by default take those principles further by requiring that only necessary data be collected and retained. Collecting just-in-case information multiplies risk without adding value. Privacy by default means systems should operate in their most privacy-preserving state unless a user explicitly chooses otherwise. For example, an application should not enable location tracking unless required for its function. Implementing minimization is often as simple as questioning each field in a form or each column in a database. Do we truly need this? Over time, minimalism reduces exposure surface, simplifies compliance, and fosters user trust. Default privacy settings communicate that protection is the expectation, not an afterthought. Consent management turns transparency into action. Capturing and revoking consent must be operationalized through reliable systems, not manual promises. Consent should be specific, informed, and freely given, and withdrawal must be as simple as granting it. For example, an online portal that allows users to manage communication preferences in real time demonstrates mature privacy governance. Consent logs serve as evidence for auditors that data usage aligns with declared permissions. Failure to track or honor revocations erodes trust and can lead to noncompliance. Well-designed consent mechanisms show that privacy is not static paperwork, but a living control integrated into everyday operations. Privacy risk assessments provide the bridge between policy intent and operational reality. They evaluate how new projects, vendors, or technologies may affect individuals' rights and freedoms. Threshold assessments determine when a full data protection impact assessment, or DPIA, is required. For instance, deploying biometric authentication would likely trigger such a review due to sensitivity and potential for harm. The goal is not to slow innovation, but to ensure informed decision-making. By documenting residual risks and mitigation steps, organizations show regulators that privacy is built into their design process. These assessments also strengthen alignment with broader enterprise risk management, reinforcing privacy as part of governance rather than an isolated function. Supporting data subject rights is where policy meets the individual. These rights include access, correction, portability, and deletion depending on jurisdiction. Operational support means having defined workflows to receive, authenticate, and fulfill requests promptly. For example, a secure online portal that tracks right to access requests provides both service to individuals and evidence for auditors. Failure to meet statutory response timelines can damage both reputation and compliance posture. Embedding rights management into customer support or identity systems ensures scalability and consistency. When handled well, these interactions transform privacy from a legal burden into a moment of trust reinforcement. Retention, deletion, and disposal define the end of the data lifecycle. Retention schedules specify how long data remains necessary for business or legal purposes, while disposal processes ensure secure destruction when that period ends. Neglecting this phase leads to storage bloat, unnecessary exposure, and regulatory risk. For example, keeping legacy patient files beyond their required retention period increases breach impact if storage systems are compromised. Aligning disposal with backup and archive strategies ensures complete removal, not partial deletion. Effective retention management also supports minimization goals, showing auditors that the organization limits data existence to genuine necessity. Privacy obligations extend beyond internal walls, reaching into third-party relationships and contracts. Sharing controls and agreements must specify permitted uses, security expectations, and audit rights. Vendor risk assessments confirm that partners uphold equivalent privacy standards. A data processing addendum should articulate breach notification timelines and jurisdictional responsibilities. For instance, a cloud service handling personal data must commit to the same incident response and deletion timelines as the primary organization. Without such alignment, an otherwise compliant program can fail through supplier weakness. Contractual privacy controls turn policy statements into enforceable commitments across the supply chain. Security and privacy are intertwined. Robust security controls directly enable privacy outcomes. Encryption, access control, logging, and monitoring prevent unauthorized exposure of personal data. Security safeguards maintain the confidentiality, integrity, and availability that privacy laws implicitly depend on. For example, anonymization relies on sound key management and restricted access to linkage data. A privacy breach is often a security lapse, so aligning these controls avoids duplication and strengthens defense in depth. Within R2, auditors often review how security measures substantiate privacy claims. The interplay ensures that protection is technical, procedural, and measurable, forming the backbone of trustworthy data stewardship. Evidence underpins every privacy control. Records of processing, risk assessments, consent logs, and policy approvals serve as the factual base for verification. Well-organized evidence not only satisfies assessors, but also supports internal accountability. For example, maintaining a central privacy evidence repository simplifies updates and cross-references between controls. Logs show what actions were taken and when, while approvals demonstrate oversight. Missing evidence signals immaturity, even if good practices exist in theory. In the R2 model, evidence is proof of both compliance and intent, showing that privacy is governed as rigorously as security. Alignment with the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, or HIPAA, security rule further grounds privacy within established healthcare standards. While HIPAA focuses on protecting electronic PHI through administrative, physical, and technical safeguards, its structure complements R2's privacy requirements. The overlap reduces duplication and ensures consistent controls across frameworks. For instance, HIPAA's access management provisions support both confidentiality and privacy obligations. Mapping R2 controls to HIPAA demonstrates unified compliance, easing audit preparation and operational clarity. This alignment emphasizes that privacy and security cannot be separated. They are two expressions of the same commitment to data protection. An integrated privacy and security program achieves more than regulatory compliance. It earns trust. When privacy principles, legal obligations, and security controls move in concert, the result is transparency, accountability, and resilience. The R2 framework embodies this philosophy by treating privacy as a measurable, auditable component of assurance. Each control, from consent to encryption, contributes to a coherent narrative of responsible data management. Over time, that narrative strengthens confidence among customers, partners, and regulators alike. A mature organization does not simply claim to protect information. It can show, with evidence, exactly how it fulfills that promise every day.